What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Happy Thursday. We're inching closer and closer to that weekend. I'm Hayley Lewis, and this is Chiefs News Daily. Today, we got a really cool episode. We got Matt Hamilton coming on. He's not only an on-air talent, but a producer for Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show. We're going to break down a lot of things going on with Chiefs rookie minicamp, the schedule release, and those unfortunate headlines coming out about Rashee Rice. That and more. Make sure you like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel, and let's dive in. We're talking about rookie minicamp wrapping up on Monday, a 3-day camp where the Chiefs are kind of able to see a little more of what they brought into Kansas City, right? The draft class, on top of that, those UDFAs, and also some first-year players. Overall thoughts, what were you able to gather? What interviews did you see? What do you think about who the Chiefs are bringing on this, potential 3P kind of roster?
Yeah, I think the big excitement has to be with Xavier Worthy, right? With the speed that he's going to bring to this offense, and also the return element with the new kickoff return rules too. Really excited to see how that plays out. And just hearing, obviously Andy wants to downplay everything with the rookies. That's always been his approach. But just hearing the comparisons to Deshaun Jackson that Andy made, and we had Xavier Worthy on our show talking about how he grew up idolizing Deshaun, so pretty cool to see that parallel. And Andy drawing that parallel himself too. I think if there's any coach that's going to figure out how to get the absolute most out of Worthy, it's Andy. But this whole rookie class to me is really exciting. When you look at Jared Wiley too, is another one that, even though being a 4th rounder, he's one that really stands out to me because you look at the athletic profile, you watch the tape on him, the things that he can do out there on the field are really special, and getting him in the same tight end room as Travis Kelce, where he can just kind of soak up as much as he can from Travis. And we know, I've been working on the breakdown now for a couple of years on Kansas City Sports Network, and, going through tape with Matt Castle and Chase Daniel. And one thing that really stood out through the years is how many of the Chiefs' big plays come out of 12 and 13 personnel sets. You don't really think about that with them, but it really is. Those are some of the key moments of the game. They love to put multiple tight ends out there on the field. Yeah. So getting Wiley in there is going to be super exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get excited about. I want to talk a little bit more about Worthy, because I forgot he did come on the Up and Adams show, so you and Kay got to talk with him before the draft, right? So what stood out to you about him? Now you've got to see a little bit more of him, obviously, now that he's been with the Chiefs and been in the Chiefs uniform. But what do you think really stood out to you about Worthy before he went into the draft that made him so appealing to Kansas City?
Yeah, he was such a likable guest, just pure positive energy. But I think one thing that really stood out is he wanted to make it known, like, hey, I'm not John Ross. I'm not just a speed guy. I can do a lot of different things, and I can run routes. I can operate over the middle. And when you watch his tape, it's clear he is that guy. He's tough. He can get open in a phone booth too. He has that short area quickness. It's not just the long speed, the vertical threat. He can give you a lot of different elements, and that's what I think makes him so fun. Especially when you look at Andy Reid and how he likes to use his receivers as an extension of the run game with some of those jet sweeps, the shovels, things like that. That he's going to incorporate in. So I think that's what stood out to me the most, how much pride he takes in all those other things, all the little details of his game. And again, it's not just lip service. You really see it on the tape too.
Hey, I'm happy to hear what you're saying, because they're singing his praises here. So hopefully we're going to see a lot of exciting things out of him this coming season, which now we know. We know who the Chiefs are going to play. We know if they're going to be home or away, but we thought today would be the day that we find out exactly who and when and where the Chiefs would be playing this 2024 season. Now it's sounding like we got to wait. The NFL putting out this memo. We're going to wait until Wednesday. It's really opening night that everyone's curious about. So I'm curious to get your opinion about this, because Kansas City, being the reigning Super Bowl champs, will most likely be slated for Thursday night, opening the NFL. But who do they play? When looking at their opponents, it's a lot of people narrowed it down to maybe the Texans or the Ravens. Matt, you tell me, what do you think would make for a better TV showdown?
I think it's got to be the Ravens to me. We actually just had Isaiah Likely on the show this morning and asked him about that possibility, and he did not back down. I think the Ravens kind of want want that smoke, want that attention, want, the extra motivation of seeing the Chiefs get their rings on that opening night. I think, they're fully embracing the challenge and they want that chance to prove themselves, I think, right out of the gates. And I think that would make for a hell of a matchup on TV.
If we do see the Texans showdown, I want to maybe get your opinion on that. And seeing, the up-and-coming Texans, what they've been able to do, what they put together. We're going to see Diggs for the first time with his new team and his new threads on the field. So what do you think about that matchup for Kansas City?
I do love that matchup, too. I mean, the Texans are as exciting an up-and-coming team as there is. And to see that test kind of right out of the gates would be fun. As you mentioned, Stephon Diggs has a lot of history with the Chiefs, too. So I'm sure he's itching to get out there and show what he can do with this new team after Buffalo kind of gave up on him halfway through the year last year and stopped utilizing him. He's going to be super motivated. And obviously Stroud, we're looking for that quarterback who is going to be that quarterback that's going to challenge Mahomes. Obviously Burrow's really the only one that's had any type of success against Patrick so far. He's owned Josh Allen. He's on Lamar. So can CJ Stroud be that guy that could potentially push Patrick? I'm not ready to go there yet, but getting that matchup right out of the gates would give us an answer pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, we love the competition. Welcome it, right? Yeah. A guy who you mentioned, Joe Burrow, he recently just said, I believe in his press conference that, if anyone beats the Chiefs, they are the gold standard right now. We hope that it is us. So there's a lot of people come in for Kansas City this next season. Let's talk about some of, we talked about the good. Now we're going to talk about the ugly, right? Some things going on. Rashee Rice back in the headlines, not for a good reason. There's a lot left up to figure out right now. We don't know all the solid answers. We're trying to get as much research as we can, but really all we can do is just assume that the Chiefs are going to be without Rashee Rice this coming season, whether that is for the entirety of the season, for a few games, for 6 games. We don't know anything, but the Chiefs have to be prepped for that possibility. So we see that Zay Jones is visiting with Kansas City today on Thursday. Your thoughts on how the Chiefs are going to be able to play, if they potentially do have to play without Rashee Rice this coming season? How do they make up that production?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've set themselves up well for that worst case scenario. Adding Marquise Brown, adding Worthy, as we talked about, there's going to be a lot of speed out there on the field, and I think you got to hope that a guy like Sky Moore can continue to grow. It was a little disappointing last year that he didn't take the leap forward, especially given the opportunities with what was going on with that Chiefs receiving core. But there's guys in the room that can really step up. I think he's the first one I would look at, and they still have Justin Watson there, who's been super productive and a go-to guy and key third downs for Mahomes. And as we talked about the tight end room too, we might just see more 12 personnel at times. So I still think there's so much talent and there are so many weapons there for Mahomes. I know it sounds crazy to say you lose your number one receiver, and I'm not that concerned about it, but we've seen it before. They lost Tyreek Hill and won a Super Bowl, won back-to-back Super Bowls immediately. So I think if there's any team that can adapt to that situation, it's going to be the Chiefs.
I mean, hey, they did it. You said they did it with Tyreek Hill was the number one wide receiver. After him came in Juju Smith-Schuster, although they really brought the ball around and shared it a lot. He was the leading wide receiver. He's gone the next year. And then they did it again this season. And I mean, maybe if they have to do it again, this is the team that can get it done. So I like what you're saying, Matt. You have faith in the Kansas City Chiefs, so you're going to fit in just fine with everyone watching this podcast today. As always, we appreciate you being on, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for another episode of Chiefs News Daily. As always, make sure you join us on our LLC. That is the Loyal Listeners Club. It's a great way to interact with other fans and myself. Also, like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel. If you like today's episode, give us a little bit of love. If not, have a great rest of your Thursday, and we will see you right back here on Friday.